in a kind of strange circumstance that to avoid the violence in his home, he was enlisting in an institution of violence. So there's a lot of paradox here. And basically in the novelization, he has translated all the hatred he has for his father and translated into affection that he has for the father figure that Troutman represents. And that's why in the third movie, he's willing to go back into action because it's Troutman who has been kidnapped. It's a complex situation that, again, I tried within the confines of what the novelization had to be, that I tried to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the chemistry, too, with those two characters is just, in both the movies and the books, is just so like, together. I know in the first one, it's a little bit detached because it's the men under Troutman who train Rambo.
Well, not in the book, but in the movie, he says that he trained Rambo personally.
Yeah.
And we have to remember, Kirk Douglas was originally Troutman and left abruptly with what they call creative differences, and Richard was brought in over the weekend. Kirk Douglas left on a Friday, Richard was in costume on a Monday, and he didn't know he didn't understand the character, and that worked to his benefit because there's that kind of insolent, kind of distant quality that Troutman has in the first film that aptly communicates his pride in what Rambo has done in a civilian war, and at the same time his understanding that he's probably going to have to kill his student. Which is of course what the novel is about, and the novel First Blood. So there were a lot of interesting subtexts here that make this more than your average adventure story.
And also he had some, not just amazing lines in First Blood, but if you look at some of those outtakes from First Blood, like where him and Teasel are talking, and Teasel's still, kind of pushing it that, Rambo was wrong and he was going after Rambo, that push it. And Troutman has this really amazing line where he's like, that boy's a heart attack.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. How, with the cigar, trying not to give too much away, trying not to know that he knows that Rambo is more than capable of getting through. Just amazing acting. Just amazing.
So, I'm going to have to go shortly. I have you booked until 11 o'clock, and so if you have a few more questions, we can perhaps finish.
My good friend Mike wanted to know if they ended up filming the diner scene from First Blood.
No, not that I'm aware of. Now, there was a lot of footage shot that wasn't used. My understanding is that the original cut, which included scenes from Vietnam, and Rambo had a girlfriend in Vietnam, and all kinds of things like that didn't pertain, that gradually the cutter, the editor, found the film by removing everything that was extraneous. And so if it was photographed, I'm not aware of it, and I never heard. I spoke to Andy, Vanya, and Marek Kosar a lot, and I never heard that it had been shot, so I suspect not.
Okay. Let's see what else here. Good friend Wallace wanted to know if you know of any of like the free share fan Rambo stories that are out there.
I don't. And we have to remember the character is copyrighted.
Yeah.
So that if anybody's writing for their own amusement, that's fine. They can share it with friends. But if these things are online and especially if anybody's charging money for them, this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
And either, if I knew about it, I'd have to do something else that, the studios would. It's flattering to know that that people want to invent Rambo stories, but, there's a certain limit to how they could be used.
Yeah, true. Very, 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 very true. Any thoughts on Rambo 5?
Well, a couple of things. There was talk for a long time. There were many ideas floating around, and I didn't like most of them. There was going to be a science fiction one in which he was against some alien. He was going to be a horse whisperer. He was going to be, I don't know, they sounded perhaps a stretch, and they couldn't, the production company, New Image Millennium, couldn't come up with a concept that they and Sylvester were happy with. That said, we need to remember that Sylvester broke his neck filming The Expendables.
Yeah.
And the extraordinary documentary that's on the DVD of The Expendables shows literally the suffering that Sylvester went through to make that film as director, writer, and one of the action stars. And it shows the scene in which he broke his neck. He landed in a flip right here, and the physicians wanted to shut the movie down because he needed an operation. He needed a plate to be fused in here, and he said that if he did, the production would never get back up to speed because of the convalescence period. And basically, he took the chance to finish the film and then have the surgery. He was also working with a broken foot in many of the later scenes in the film. I mean, he got injured badly, and I myself had seen him injured in Rambo 3 filming. It's my feeling that these Expendable movies, and this is just me, I have no idea if this is the case, but that by surrounding himself with major action figures, that he can minimize his own stunts. I mean, he can shoot and do all that, but the flying around and going through windows and all that he could minimize those stunts in an effort to avoid another serious injury. Now, Rambo is, a loner, so all right, you might put him with a team, and in fact, it might be interesting to have him working with a very young team, and he would be now 69, something like that. It might be interesting to play with that. The elderly, wise warrior, etc. But I don't hear much, but the sense I get is that this isn't going to happen. Now, never say never.
Yeah.
But I just have the feeling that the ending of the fourth film, where he arrived back in the United States wearing the same clothes that he wore in the first scene of First Blood, and then goes down the road to meet his father. Of course, in my scenario from the novel, this was a father who had beaten him. So whatever was going to go on down there probably, would have, in the movies, this subplot doesn't exist. But in any case, it was a fitting end if that was going to be the end.
Have you seen Mickey Cardone's audition to play young Rambo from back in a couple of years ago? They had listed in Cool News that Sly was maybe interested in doing another film, almost like a remake with a younger person, and there was an audition.
And this is, frankly, it's news to me. I get requests maybe every week to write a prequel in which Rambo would be young either in Vietnam or as a young man before he joined the military. I have resisted these, and remember, no one can write prose, write fiction about Rambo other than myself. I have resisted this because the book has never been out of print. First Blood has never been out of print in 42 years. It's amazing that this doesn't happen. There are very few books from that period that are still in print. It's not an exaggeration to say that among thriller writers, it's revered for showing a new way to write action. I have an idol, his name is Jeffrey Household, who in 1939 wrote a book called Rogue Male, R-O-G-U-E-M-A-L-E. It's about a British big game hunter who stops Hitler on the eve of the Second World War. And he's captured on the first page. And the novel is about his escape. It's a brilliant book. It is reviewed as well. And in fact, I'm sometimes compared to Household, so I think about him a lot. And Household, many years afterward, wrote a sequel called Rogue Justice, which wasn't as good as the first one, and which tarnished the reputation of the first one. So whenever I'm tempted to maybe write a prequel to First Blood, I think about the 42-year reputation that the novel has acquired, and why would I bother?
Yeah.
You know, why would I take the chance that someone would say, well, it wasn't what I expected? Because the truth is, nothing after 42 years could meet the expectations of what people think a prequel could be. So some things just aren't meant to be.
And if people want to have some more prequel aspects, they should, and they haven't read, you know, like say First Blood Part 2, they should, because there is a lot of what would be going on from the way back, especially with Tay, bringing Tay back into the equation, the VC commander. That you know, like you said before, the slime pit.
I'll leave you with this thought, and one of the other reasons why I did the novelization for Rambo First Blood Part 2. The mission calls for him to go back to the same POW camp from which he escaped. There is no significance put upon this in the movie. They just say, you're going back to the POW camp you escaped from. Rambo says, oh, okay. What? What an opportunity to miss the psychological, him re-entering the war, going back to the hell that he was in order to redeem himself. And the novelization goes on with this at length to explore this aspect of his personality and the emotions. So, I mean, there are many ways in which Rambo First Blood Part 2, as good of action, as amusing an action film as it is, could have been so much better. And so anyway, I'm going to have to leave you with that thought.
All right. Well, thank you very, 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 very much.
You're very welcome. And
maybe we could do it again sometime.
In print, and it's been out of print for many years, unlike the novel. And the novelization should be in print, perhaps this is the middle of July, probably by the middle of August it should be in print. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, you know, once again available in addition to the ebook, of course, and to make the print book a little more attractive given the ebook presence, I've added another ebook to it, an essay, a memoir I wrote called Rambo and Me, the Story Behind the Story, and that's in the print edition. Online, it's a separate ebook, but I've combined these two, again, just for added value if somebody wants the printed book.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant essay as well.
Well, thank you. And so, you know, it's kind of it's a package. So, all right, well, thank you for having me on, and, you know, good luck with your Rambo explorations.
Well, thank you very much. It's been more than a privilege, an honor. And
well, thank you. It's been an honor for me to you know, to have seen how the Rambo character has developed over the years. So, it's quite a run. So, all right, I'll let you go, and good luck to you.
All right, thank you very much. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.